Right, cool. You're good. Right, I'm gonna start. For those watching on this YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to never miss any updates. Welcome to the In Conversation with PRS Foundation, premiering on the PRS Foundation YouTube channel, and don't forget to subscribe. And today we're in conversation with a grantee from the PPL Momentum Fund, Shae Universe. Hey Shae, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. So since bursting onto the scene in 2017, Shae Universe has made waves in the UK, West Africa, and beyond, making music that engages, chants, and inspires. So her mother was a gospel singer and her father a pastor. Shae weaves her spirituality, faith, and sensuality through her work. Shae is an artist who can both sing and rap and has been co-signed by the like of Layla Hathaway, Georgia Smith, Little Sims, and has remained entirely independent, navigating through the industry on her own terms. Shae will have performed at South by Southwest, Glastonbury, Rock Slide, Jazz Cafe across Europe, LA, NY, and Toronto. Her debut album, Love Letter, was released on Valentine's Day, and she has worked with Hendrickse, Phabo, Enny, and Kojey Radical. Hey Shae, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. That was an intro for sure.
Okay, well, I read it, so. So why did you apply for PPL Momentum? What was the thinking behind doing it?
Um, well, I applied for the PPL Momentum Fund because at the time, I was in a place in my career where it's still really important for me that I'm independent, but I think even more so earlier in my career because I was still, planting my seeds and finding my feet. And I think I'm the kind of artist where it would be a disservice to me to like sign to a major super early before establishing my authenticity. So I wanted to find a way of, obviously a lot of people know when you're independent, the biggest struggle that we all have is finances because it's very, very expensive and it's hard to sustain yourself and live a normal life, which is why a lot of artists sign these deals and just take the instant gratification or the instant like financial help. I didn't want to go that route, but I needed help, and so I started looking into funding and I started looking into grants, and then I came across this one by the PRS Foundation, and yeah, I applied for it, and here we are. So that was my motivation behind applying for it.
Okay, and as you've maintained your independence, like what made you think you were at the right time? Because the fund, PPL Momentum, is kind of like for artists that are at their tipping point of their career. So what do you think made you see yourself as at your tipping point?
Well, at the time, my colours was coming up, I believe. I knew that I had a colours coming up, and I knew that that would, take me to another level of my career. And I also was working on this project that I've most recently released, as you said, called Love's Letter, which again is changing my life. And I have to give thanks to the PRS Foundation for, playing a part in that. But the tipping point for me was knowing my colours was coming up, knowing that this project, this album, probably my best piece of work to date, was about to come up. And I just needed that little, extra help to tie it across the line, really.
So obviously, I think you applied for the activity of the album, correct? When you
Mhm.
apply for PPL Momentum Fund. Um, so how did it help the project that you had in mind and also your career?
It helped massively actually because the PPL Momentum Fund was actually what I used to shoot all the music videos on my Love's Letter project. And as you know, visuals are of great help in this time, like where people's attention spans are next to nothing. They like to have something to watch. And not only did I give them something to watch, but the PPL Momentum Fund enabled me to execute it to a very high standard, higher than usual, or higher than it had been previously. So, yeah, I was really grateful for that. And I think that the visuals added to the project really helped to convey the story. I shot visuals for my two lead singles leading up to the project, and they were like a two-part story. It was almost giving like a mini short film, and I don't think I would have been able to do that if not for the fund. So definitely made a big difference.
Fantastic. And so, what are your tips for aspiring artists to get to a sorry, sustainable career in music?
My tips to artists to get to a point of having a sustainable career. That's a really good question. And I would say some people are not going to like the sound of this because honestly, it is really difficult, but I've had to sacrifice a lot. I've had to sacrifice, moments or things or periods of time where maybe I could have been, spending more money on myself or investing in myself or going on holidays or, you know, all the things that we enjoy and all the things that we love. Unfortunately, if you really want to make it, like, get past that point, you have to make a lot of sacrifice. There are going to be some things you're going to have to miss out on. You're going to have to be a little bit more prudent with your money and have more tunnel vision so that instead of buying that thing right now, you're thinking about, okay, well, this next music video that could potentially change my life, I need to make sure I have enough money for that. It's just a slightly shifting your mindset and being in a slightly different place than your peers, I think. So that's definitely number one. And it's a challenge, but how badly do you want it? How much passion do you have for what you're doing? That's always the thing that's in the back of my mind. So that would be up there. And then let's think of one more. Sustainability. Um, honestly, try sorry that I don't, I'm not sure what that sound is, but try your hardest to try your hardest to be a good person, actually. That might not seem directly connected to sustainability, but it actually goes hand in hand with that because if you leave a bad taste in everybody's mouth that you work with, then they're not going to work with you again. They're not going to want to work with you again. And relationships have done far more for me than anything else in my journey. So, yeah, I would say those are probably the two top tips I have for sustainability.
No, I agree. Networking is a massive part of music and being successful as well. Um, so obviously you've received the fund and you've gone on to do a project with it, and the project's come out and done really well. So
Hmm.
since you've had the funding, like who have you worked with, not only artistically but on the business side? Let's start with artistically, and in the creative, being a music creator. Who have you worked with, and have you seen like let's say, have you seen the people you work with, like have you become like I don't know, higher standard or
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, Wow, and I hadn't really stopped to reflect on that until you just asked me in this moment, but I think absolutely the levels have catapulted since I released that project. I can't say that I have already worked with this person, but we now have a working relationship, and that is Tiwa Savage. She's like, really big in the Afrobeat scene, and upon listening to Love's Letter, she actually reached out and like gave me, a bunch of encouraging words, and even told me like she felt inspired by the art that I had created, and I think once upon a time that was literally a dream. So that's probably one that I think is up there. Me and Neo are also now working. Can't say too much about that, but yeah, definitely expect some stuff with me and her coming relatively soon. And I haven't worked with this person, but Stormzy also reached out off the back of the project just to congratulate me, and wish me well with the project, which I think is super dope because he's from an entirely different like genre than me, but it just goes to show how art operates. It's not really, it can it can touch anyone and it can resonate with anyone. But yeah, that's on the artistic side and even producer wise as well. I think the caliber of producers that have started reaching out now are actually, I didn't know it could get higher than what I was already working on, but yeah, it's actually higher than some of the producers I'd worked with previously, just in terms of, industry experience and like the OGs in the game and stuff like that. But yeah,
has there been anyone that you've been a massive fan of, or that you were like, oh my God, this guy's contacted me, like, or whoever it is, like, could be, like, like some people like Timberland are quite good at reaching out to
yeah, yeah,
people.
yeah, yeah. You know what? It hasn't been anybody that I okay. So a producer reached out to me that had produced one of my favorite songs, but I didn't know that he was the producer of that song. So he was somebody that I was really inspired by, but I didn't know until he had reached out, and I was like, oh,
That happened to me once. I was at an artist's house. This was like 10 years ago.
mhm,
She had a friend from America come over and she's like, oh, yeah, yeah, meet Rashid. And I was like, oh, Rashid. He's like, yeah, my name's Rashid. And I was like, oh, where are you from? He's like, New York. Coming to find out, this is Rashid Smith. This is the guy that made pretty much every 90s hip hop
wow,
thingy in culture. And I was like, you just sat in your yard casually, like this is some next guy. This is like a legend. Like,
yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I mean? It's one of those things that sometimes, particularly producers,
mhm,
like, go under the radar.
exactly. And there's a lot of
Yeah, I was
mystery
like, after that, I just want to talk to him for like 25 hours. Just like,
just pick
how
his
did this song happen? How did that happen? Like, do you know what I mean?
exactly, exactly. I think, yeah, producers tend to have a bit more mystery to them because they're a bit like more behind the scenes, but it's really cool when you get to actually interact with them.
Yeah. So,
Mhm.
and on the business side, like, how have you grown? Like, who have you stepped up like with booking agencies or PR firms, or like, how has the fund helped you develop that way?
I think on the business side, a lot more people have definitely started to poke interest. Um, but because of everything I'm kind of like preparing for, um, I have actually been more, I've actually taken more time with the business side of things. I think that obviously this is a business, right? And you don't have forever because you have to like move with the time. You got to like be um just have kind of your ear to what's happening and stuff. But I think part of good business is like taking your time to really assess what's being presented to you and not rush into things. So that's something I've really, really been conscious of in this time, actually, because I think this is a very pivotal time for me. And I think any business venture I enter into or any kind of like anything at all would have a massive like effect on what happens from this point onwards. So though people have been reaching out, I'll be honest, I have been taking things quite slow on that end. But I feel happy with the pace that things are moving, and I'm sure, like in due time, everyone will see, the decisions I have made on the business side as they unfold.
Yeah, I think it's important for artists to take that because you could make a couple of bad records, and I don't think it would have the same impact as if you made some bad business decisions of who you got involved with.
Exactly, exactly,
Even when you see people sign to labels and then they don't release anything for a few years, and then suddenly their businesses change and they get dropped, and then they're in a bit of limbo. So I think you're right to take your time on the business,
hmm
and who you get involved, because it's one of those things that a, a quick decision can sometimes lead to a bad decision that really affects your career for not just a year, maybe up to 5 to 10 years, depending
exactly,
on what happens. So yeah, I think you're
exactly.
a good head on your shoulders for doing it that way. But yeah, great.
Thank
So the team that you do have, even though I believe it's just you, like
you.
what role do they play in your career? Like if there's any, is there a booking agent involved?
I had a booking agent up until January. Right now, I'm currently agent free, but I'm not mad at it. Again, I'm in a really good position right now because, I have people that are poking interest and the ball is kind of in my court to be like, okay, do I feel like doing this? Do I not feel like doing it? Again, once upon a time, like I was the person that was, I guess, like trying to prove myself. So it feels good to be in this position where I can just relax a little bit. But in terms of the team I do have, which as it stands right now, I have like my personal photographer. This is more so like my direct team. I have my personal photographer who's also one of my good friends. I have a makeup artist. I have a DJ. I have like I don't really have a PA as of yet, but I have people I can go to ask for things. And then on the like representation side, I'm currently actually managing myself. Again, that's something that's relatively new, but I yeah, and then with the booking agents, I'm kind of just taking my time, but I will have a booking agent at some point soon, I think. And I think the team I have around me as of right now, they mainly, of course, they help me with everything that we work on together. But I think actually the significance of the team that I have and that I've had has been more so emotional and like mental support. You know, they do more than that, of course, because we work together, we work on projects together. But when I really reflect on it, I'm like, on the business side of things, on, making decisions, I'm quite a headstrong woman. I'm quite a intuitive woman, and I know what I want, and I feel I go based off my feelings on things, and usually they work out for me. So that side, between me and God, I usually have sorted out. But on the side that, comes with all the emotional turmoil and all the craziness that comes with being an artist in the music industry, I think I've been blessed to have a team that also double up as friends that, just actually help me get through that as well. So yeah, that's like the thing that comes to the forefront of my mind when you ask about the role or the part that my team has played in my journey.
Cool. No, I understand this. And do you find that do you ever get like bamboozled or like frustrated or even like, how to put it, like your brain just goes on fire from all of the like some of the business things you've got to deal with, or are you quite
All
calm? Yeah.
the time. All the thing is, right? It's interesting because you just said you asked that and then you said, "Or are you quite calm?" And the truth is, I present as quite calm, but the craziness is still happening. You know what I mean? So a lot of people would say, "Oh yeah, Shae is like quite calm. I never really see her get like worked up, apart from the people that are closest to me." But there's always a lot going on, and honestly, it is a lot of hats to wear, and it gets stressful and it gets overwhelming a lot of the time, but I think in my case, patience is a real virtue, you know. Um, yeah, I can't predict the future per se, but I just feel like it is worth waiting it out and being sure of all the decisions I make. Because I feel like the legacy I'm trying to build and the impact I'm trying to have on the world is such that it's not like a momentous thing. It's not like a viral moment. It's once it sticks, like it sticks and it stays, you know? So yeah, I feel like I went on a bit of a tangent there, sorry, but
All right. All right, cool. So obviously you applied for PPL Momentum around 2022, I believe it was.
yes, yes.
Um, bearing in mind that I know it's
2022? No. Was it? Oh yeah, so how far from when you apply, how long do you have to wait until you hear back?
oh, it's
Like,
usually 6 to 8 weeks. So it might have been you applied in 2022 because I
and
think
got it.
they got it in the beginning of 2023. So it was at least a year and a half ago.
Okay, cool. Got you, got you. Yeah, that makes sense actually. Because the videos I actually shot and stuff were in 2023, but that would make sense, yeah.
So, digging deep into your memory, what tips would you have for applying for PPL Momentum?
Um, be unashamedly passionate. In explaining yourself. I think that that's a big thing. There's so many people that apply for this fund. So if you're going to be somebody that's like worth consideration, the people that are assessing that application have to really feel that you're passionate about it. Like, why do you deserve to get this grant above all the other hundreds of people, thousands of people that are applying, you know? So don't be afraid to show or express how passionately you feel. I think have a game plan as well. Don't apply for the fund just aimlessly because you're just like, oh, I just need a bit of money. You have to actually have a plan, have a vision, have a sense of where you see yourself going even after you're granted that fund. I think those things make a difference, and also I think those things translate in how certain or sure you come across in how you word that application. And then maybe finally I would say just be honest. Just be honest. I think sometimes when people are trying to get a certain thing, or there's an incentive, people can be insincere because they want that thing. But I think when it comes to this, and it comes to music, and it comes to, again, your love, your passion for the music, that's what this fund is dedicated to, right? Just be honest. Be honest about how you feel. Yeah, I think those would be the three things I would say.
Thank you so much for the conversation. And is there anything you want to tell anyone? Like, have you got any music coming out soon?
I actually do. I actually do. Well, first of all, I just released well, Full Crate just released a single featuring me. It's called Stay. Please go and check that out because that is hands down probably my favorite feature that I've done to date. And then I actually have a new single. It's not coming out for a little while, but it will be out on June the 14th. So please keep an eye out for that because I really believe that one is gonna be a big one. But yeah, that's pretty much everything. Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed that conversation.
Well, thank you. And yeah, I think the deadline for the next round is the 20th of May. So anyone who's looking to apply, please get in by 6 o'clock on the 20th of May. We do have further rounds this year. And if you go to the website, prsfoundation.com, you'll be able to find the deadlines there. Thank you again, Shae.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks. Right.